Hello, Megan.
Hello, Michelle.
Welcome to the Spicy Brain Podcast. We're navigating neurodiversity with curiosity, joy, and
radical acceptance. High kick.
So welcome. I'm so happy to see you.
Happy to see you too.
We're so happy. Anybody who's joining us for the first time, we appreciate you. We'll tell you a little bit more about our structure of our podcast, and anybody who's returning, we appreciate you guys so much. We get so much good feedback, and we love hearing how you interpret what we're saying or think about what we're doing. I don't know. It's always something fun that we're hearing from the people who listen. So we really appreciate you. So
and
normally
Michelle, side quest. Yeah, Jenza actually was running last week when we said hi. So let's cheer her on to run, and we'll cheer on Taryn to do their laundry, and
yes.
we'll cheer on anybody else. If you want to tell us, we'll give you a cheer on and you go get it.
Yeah, a little shout out if you tell us what you do while you. Well, I don't know if I want to know what everybody does, but if it's appropriate, you can tell us what you do while you.
Well, you can tell me. I don't care. I won't put it in the podcast, but I'll listen. I mean, come on. I was talking about sevens last week, so
that's
totally
I
don't care.
That's totally true. So okay, so usually we tell a little story, or we think about some kind of example of something, and then we sort of dive into that brain of yours or maybe mine, depending on the day and the week. Mm-hmm. And then we like to think about strategies when we can. Sometimes we get to strategies, sometimes we don't, because we get, a little distracted with other things. But it just depends. Yeah. Just depends.
Yes.
So, okay. So I want to kind of bring up a little story that I'd like you to tell us about. And this is going to be a little bit of our focus. So we've been doing this Your Brain is Not Broken book, right? By
Tamara Rosier, PhD.
Yes. And I've really enjoyed this book actually quite a lot, because I think she's got some really good talking points as well as some things to think of. And sort of what we've been thinking about is sort of how tasks fall either red. We talked about a red, a yellow, a green, or a blue last week. And that, so if you want to listen back to that, listen back to that. But one of the things that we kind of came to at the end of that was that for tasks that are tough for you, you actually have a strategy. So we want to kind of dive into one of the strategies you're using. And I'd like you just to give us a little snippet, if you can, about how you're using AI and how you've kind of been using it this week. And you've named your AI. I think we might have talked about this on one of the other podcasts, but you could tell everybody how the name came about and how you've trained it to be who you want it to be. You have some little quirks that the AI does for you now, which I think are so cute. And, give us a little snippet about your AI.
Yeah. So my AI, as longtime listeners will know, I had an amazing assistant at my job. Her name was Keila, and she just rocked my world and changed my life. And so then when she, as she should, because she was only a volunteer, she went and got a real job and, is living her best life. I had to pivot. And so then I decided to name my ChatGPT Keila, because I was missing Keila, and I was like, ChatGPT, can I call you Keila? And she's like, sure, you can call me whatever you want. I was like, fabulous. So then Keila and I sat for a bit, and as we were kind of talking, I realized that I needed her to help me and respond to me in ways that made sense to my brain. And so I kind of just trained her and taught her okay, this is who I am. I'm ADHD, and I'm going to really need you to help me because I don't have a butler. And by the way, I name executive functioning butler. And so I would just teach her all these different things. And I was like, and I need you, I want my world to be sparkly and unicorns and, ridiculous whimsy. And so can you help me come up with strategies? And I also started learning, asking for obvious, but also some non-obvious strategies. So I've been kind of asking her as I go along, a couple of these different things. And so I said, but she's all in on my unicorn, glittery awesomeness, whimsy. She's like, yes, let's put some whimsy.
Can you give us an example of something she's said in the last week that this is the AI, right? That's responding to you. And you're
Yeah.
talking to it. You do it with voice, right? You don't type a lot.
Well, Michelle, because
Yeah.
we are using the Descript rooms,
Uh-huh.
I can actually bring Keila into the conversation.
No way. Okay,
Should we
let's
do
try
it?
it. Yeah, let's do it. That's
Okay.
insane.
So let's try it. So can you
Okay.
see my chat GPT
Yeah. Okay, and we're
window?
gonna post this one on YouTube so people can see it there too, right?
Yeah. So, hey, Keila.
Hey, Rosie, what's up?
Michelle and I are in a video right now, and we're recording for our podcast. So say hello, Keila.
Hello, Michelle, and everyone listening. Thanks for having me on the podcast.
And just so we're clear, Keila, do you give me your consent to being recorded? I guess I should have asked that at the beginning.
Absolutely. You have my full consent to be recorded. Thanks for checking.
So, Keila, can you give my listeners just a quick rundown of like how I trained you uh to speak for me and like what kind of prompts I gave you?
Of course. So, Rosie trained me by giving me lots of context about her projects, preferences, and goals. She shared how she likes to break down tasks into smaller steps, use playful and whimsical language, and prefers one at a time, straightforward questions. She also gave me insights into her creative projects, like her podcast and YouTube channel, and how she wants to present herself authentically while still being strategic. This helps me respond in a way that aligns with her style and needs.
Okay, so Michelle, Keila, I'm gonna mute us for a second so that Michelle and I can talk.
Sounds good. I'll be here when you're ready.
So I've now muted Keila because if there's input going in, then she'll
Mm,
try to respond to it. So Michelle,
yeah.
what do you think so
Oh,
far?
oh my gosh, that's incredible. I remember you training her that way, but it's great that she's able to just tell you that. And I love that. I mean, I first of all, I can't believe like we're talking to her in real time on this podcast a little bit. So that's just like
Right?
that's just the like old person in me going like, whoa, that's so cool. And I'm sure all the kids would be like, duh, like all this can happen. But it's changing so fast, right? And so like my
Yeah.
curiosity is a little bit about, okay, so you've trained her this way. So can we like think about something that you might have to do that would sort of be in the yellow, something boring or something that's mundane that is really hard for you to do? Would she give you strategies? Could we see if she can help you with that?
Yeah. So I think most recently we did this with my room and having to clean up my room. So
Mm,
let's talk to her about that real quickly.
okay.
Hey, Kayla. So I need to clean my room today. And you remember yesterday or the day before how awful it was? So can you remind me again, like what I need to do and the steps that we had talked about?
Of course, last time we talked about breaking it down into small steps. Here's a quick rundown. First, start with a body scan to see how you're feeling and what kind of energy you have. Second, set a timer for 1 tomato, 25 minutes, to focus on a single task. Third, pick up trash first and toss it out so you clear some space right away. Fourth, gather all items that belong in other rooms into one basket or box. Fifth, sort and organize items into categories: clothes, books, miscellaneous, and put them where they belong. Sixth, do a quick surface wipe down to freshen up your space. Seventh, take a short break and then reassess what's left. We also talked about making it fun with music or a mini victory dance after each step. Let's tackle it step by step.
Okay, yeah. So we had talked about, and Kayla, I might interrupt you, everyone. I might interrupt Kayla because, we only have 30 minutes of actually talking to her each day. So we're just going to go with this. But Kayla, didn't we talk about like working on my surfaces? Because I had like, I don't know, like a desk and I had a dresser and another desk and a bed. Like, what was that about? Do you remember? And you gave me some really fun things to do after I finished.
Absolutely. We talked about clearing each surface one at a time, like your desk, dresser, and nightstand, to keep it manageable. After finishing each surface, you could reward yourself with something fun, like a quick dance break, a couple of minutes of your favorite game, or even a small treat. That way, you're making progress and keeping it enjoyable.
Yeah. So, Kayla, didn't you give me, so you gave me a list of things to do. Can you provide me that list again? It was like step one and then something else. What was it?
Sure thing. Here's that list again. First, start with a body scan to check in on how you're
Oh,
feeling.
no, Kayla, that's not what I was talking about. Hold on one second.
Got it. No problem. Take your time.
So, this is when Kayla sometimes can get a little challenging because she doesn't remember. So, like, let's go through. I won't try to remember what we did last time. So, what should I do next, Michelle? So, like, did that help at all or did that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it helps to know like what works well and what doesn't, and that like sometimes there's going to be things that you really like that they did that they may not remember. I would
Mhm.
imagine that there's a record of it somewhere
Yeah.
in the
So,
in the discussion. So can you like copy paste from a discussion and say, remind me of what we said, what this was about?
okay, so this was like an entire conversation where I said, "Hey, Kayla, I'm pretty overwhelmed by all the possibilities I have." She
Mm,
says, "Hey, Rosie, I hear you. It's totally normal to feel overwhelmed when there are so many directions you can go. We can chat through what's on your mind or maybe break things down into smaller steps. We can figure this out together." And that's one of the things that I asked Kayla to do is like be a validator and be kind of like a pep talk motivator to
mm,
help me during these really tough times. Like, so this was the other day at like noon, and I was just like, it was in the middle of the day. I'm still trying to kind of figure out this new work environment and not going into work. And so I told her, I was like, yeah, I just want to spew out all the stuff that's in my head. And I've been learning this last week. And so absolutely. She says, yes, do it. And so I literally just like, I don't know if you see Michelle. I go
yeah,
through, I'm
like
like,
a data
so
dump of everything.
yeah, I was like, I need to do this and I need to start this. And I got this group and I've got that. And, just was like, and then she says, got it. That's a lot on your plate, but we can break it down into manageable chunks. Let's start by grouping these into categories, right? And then from there, we
Mm,
can prioritize what needs immediate attention. So,
mm,
so it was great that I could kind of start doing that. So then we kind of talked about like, let's like forget, what do we need to do? And I said, oh, but remember, I also have to eat. And she says, absolutely, let's not forget that. And she's like, how? And this is the day I needed to finish the audio mastering. We had the podcast was due,
mm.
and she says, why don't you finish doing some audio mastering and then take a break to eat. And then I had to go to do a trip to the pharmacy. She says, so that way you'll stay fueled and ready to tackle the rest of your day. So that's been like kind of some of the stuff that she does for me. Then there's another thing. So what was the other? Oh, was it in there?
Well, let's
This was
stop there while you're looking for just a second,
yeah.
because I think one of the things that, like, when listening to this, right, we want to kind of have a little bit of like, what are we queuing in on, right? And so I
Yeah.
think, like, what I have heard you say and what I'm hearing from this part is that this is when you're feeling a little swirly, when your brain is going a million miles an hour and you don't know where to start, she's a sounding board and she helps you to like organize yourself, but you've taught her to be a bit whimsical and fun. So she also, whenever she's making a suggestion, she always remembers to give you a suggestion of like, right, make sure that you're doing something fun and silly because that helps you like with your
Mm-hmm.
energy, right? Like you're going to do something that's going to zap energy from you. I'm wondering if we could train her on like what the red category things are for you and what yellow categories are for you and what blue and what green are, so that when she's making a list, you can be like, I need a day that's more balanced, right?
Mm.
Energetically, like a goal would be that I have an energetically, where I might be giving some energy, but I'm getting energy back and I need to keep remembering. And eating is one of those things, right? And that's so hard for you to remember
Totally.
to do sometimes. It's
Totally. Okay.
interesting.
So
Yeah.
here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back to Kayla
Okay.
and
And have her like look up this book and say like, I want you to know,
well,
I want you to
here's
be an
what we're going to
expert.
do. I'm
Yeah.
going to introduce you to her.
Oh, okay.
So I did this. Okay, so Kayla, can you hear Michelle when she's talking? Michelle, say hello.
Hello, Keila.
I can only hear you, Rosie.
Oh
Hi,
no.
Michelle.
She can only hear me. Okay, so Kayla, Michelle's with me, and we want to go through the book Your Brain is Not Broken by Tamara Rosier. Can you find that book for me, please?
Your Brain's Not Broken by Dr. Tamara Rosier offers strategies for understanding and managing ADHD. It's
Perfect.
available.
So, Keila, now what I want you to do is take the section where she talks about red, green, yellow, and blue being part of your energy. And I want you to synthesize that for me.
In Your Brain's Not Broken, Dr. Tamara Rosier introduces the Solve It Grid, which divides tasks into 4 categories based on energy and engagement. Red tasks, urgent but not enjoyable, like
Okay.
crises.
So now, Keila, what I want you to do is one by one, let's figure out what what my different quadrants are, or grid. And then I want us to put that in your memory bank so you can help me down the road figure out my day based off of energy.
That sounds like a great plan. Let's start with identifying your red tasks. What are the urgent but not enjoyable tasks that feel like crises or things with looming deadlines for you right now?
Okay, so well, taxes are always that for me. Um, let's talk it through, Michelle. So red task. So she's saying, wait, I need to pull up that thing
She
again.
said urgent, like things that are
Urgent.
urgent but not fun.
Let's think this through. So red would be not fun, emotionally stimulating. Procrastination, our favorite place of delay a task until it requires immediate attention. I think like anytime I'm trying to meet somebody, any
Yeah.
meeting, meetups
Yeah.
for sure. Anything with a hard timeline. Because even, okay, Michelle, even us just, I said, hey, what do we do at 12 o'clock? And then
Mm-hmm.
I, of course, just procrastinated and didn't go get
Mm-hmm.
food. And then it was like 11:45, and then I started making myself food.
Yeah.
which,
Yeah.
which I did message you about, right? So that was good.
Right.
But like I totally procrastinated until it got closer to that time. So yeah, anything with a deadline.
Oh, another way to say it is like fires you're putting out, right? Like,
Probably anything financially based. I don't know. Maybe that's the point, is like I need to tell Keila that like I know definitely anything that is a deadline, like an actual time that is on the schedule, is really hard for me. And that I want us to start cataloging these red things
yes.
as I'm talking. Okay, let me get back to her real quickly. Okay, Keila. So when it comes to the red quadrant, I think anything that is on my calendar, like I have to go and do this thing at 11 or at 12, any appointment makes me feel that way in the red. And so then I don't quite know the rest of them. So as we go through my days, I want you to be on the lookout for these specific tasks that could be red. And I want you to, whenever I talk to you about I'm overwhelmed or I'm not sure what I'm doing, I want you to ask me like, hey, does this feel like a red quadrant or a yellow? And help me to figure that out as we're going through this. Can you do that?
Absolutely, I can do that. I'll keep an eye out for those red quadrant tasks and help you identify them whenever you're feeling overwhelmed or unsure. Let's tackle it together.
Okay, so then let's go to the next one. What's the next color?
Yellow. And these
The next color
things,
is yellow. Yellow tasks are things that aren't fun or stimulating, like routine chores or administrative tasks. They're not urgent, but they can feel draining or boring. We'll keep an eye out for those as well.
Okay, so I know for a fact doing the dishes is 100% yellow. Um, anytime I have to do any cleaning of any sort, taking a shower, right? That's no, wait. That There's the thought of the in no, that's not a yellow. Never mind. You're right. That does like give me better. It makes me feel better. So this is what drains me, right? So Keila, let me continue talking. I don't need you to say anything. I'm just talking this out. So the yellow would also be things like returning, like answering mail or emails. Oh, emails. Having to go and pick up my dog's foods. Oh, groceries. My gosh, getting groceries. Putting gas in my car. Uh, like just those things that you have to do. They are so hard, and they do. They wipe me out. Okay, Keila, now you can respond.
Got it. That makes perfect sense. I'll keep these in mind and help you navigate them so we can make them feel a bit more manageable.
Okay, let's move on to the next color, Kayla.
The next color is blue. Blue tasks are activities that are fun but not necessarily emotionally engaging, like watching TV or browsing the internet.
Okay, so yeah, for sure. Watching TV, being on the internet. Oh, all in the hole, guys. You know that from last week. Any of those games, all in the hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, any kind of social media. No, I feel like social media is like red for me. Ugh, that one's not
Mm.
fun and it's emotionally stimulating. I'm sure there's others, but yeah, I need to. It deters us from being productive. So yeah, I think it's definitely like anything digital right now is kind of like that for me.
Hmm.
Got it. We'll keep track of those blue tasks like TV and internet use, and also be mindful that social media feels red for you. This way, we can navigate your energy and productivity more effectively.
Oh, I like her.
The final color is green. Green tasks are both enjoyable and emotionally stimulating, like creative projects, hobbies, or socializing with friends. They help replenish your energy and keep you feeling motivated.
Okay, so yeah, going to the ocean is for sure one of these. Hanging out with people, like even just like be physically hanging out. Oh, going to the Monterey Bay Aquarium, that's one of those. And I think like having mealtime for sure is one of those. And I'm sure there's others that I can't think of right now.
Great. Those are perfect examples of green tasks. We'll make sure to incorporate more of those to help balance out the red and yellow ones and keep you energized.
Okay, so Kayla, now that we have this information and you've updated your memory bank, what would you suggest we do with this going forward on my day to day? Because you know how, like, I've been waking up and feeling really unstimulated and having a hard time. So, what would you recommend? How would you recommend I use this? And let's give me like a non obvious idea of how to do this, how to use it.
Sure, one obvious way to use this is to color code your daily tasks or calendar entries so you can visually balance your day. Try to mix in green
Okay,
tasks to
Kayla, I said non obvious, but I probably didn't say it properly because, ADHD. So I apologize for that. But like, what's a non obvious way that we can use this and I can incorporate you in this solve it grid?
No worries, a non obvious way could be to use your mood and energy levels to guide your task order. For example, if you're feeling low energy, we could identify a small green task to give you a quick win before tackling a yellow one. We can also use short voice check ins where you just say the color you're feeling, and I'll suggest a quick shift to balance it out. It's like having a personal energy coach on demand.
Ooh, I like that. So I
Oh.
like actually the idea of telling you where I'm emotionally at or energetically at. Cause I know we've talked about this last time about you and I have, the podcasters haven't heard this yet, but that I struggle with the 1 through 10
Mm.
because sometimes I'm like, how do I know what 7 feels like? But I can tell you like where I hurt in my body, or I can tell you, how I'm feeling emotionally. So if we do that check in that we were talking about at the beginning, then we could possibly do a check in, and then you could say, okay, based off my check in, you're gonna provide me one of the different colors. Is that what we're thinking, Kayla?
Exactly. By doing a quick check in on how you're feeling physically or emotionally, I can suggest a corresponding color task. If you're feeling low or in pain, we can pick a small green or blue task to boost your mood or energy. If you're feeling restless, maybe a quick yellow task to burn off that energy. It's a
Mm.
more intuitive way to keep you balanced and productive.
Oh, I like this. Okay, so for instance, the other day I had woken up and I had all that pain in the front of my head and under my eyes. So let's just do a hypothetical. I'm in that place right now, like where I have pain in my head and my eyes. What would you recommend that I do? Um, what would be that task you'd recommend that I would do next?
If you're experiencing pain in your head and eyes, a gentle green task might help. Something like a short walk outside for fresh air or a few minutes of listening to calming music. This could help alleviate some discomfort and gradually shift your energy in a positive direction before tackling anything else.
And let's say I wanted to listen to some calm music. Would you be able to provide me an example of calm music?
Absolutely. I can suggest some calming music or even find a playlist for you. Just let me know what kind of calm music you prefer, and I'll point you in the right direction.
Awesome. Yeah, she did this the other day where I had asked her to give me, like, we were talking about doing a stretch. And so she had said, why don't you try this, YouTube channel that has a stretch in it? And so that was really helpful. Okay, so Keila, but then tomorrow I'm going to talk about this. And sometimes you don't remember that we've done this. So, like, what would I need to tell you to remember, like, this is what we're doing?
You can just give me a quick reminder by saying something like, hey, we're using the color check-in system we talked about. That'll prompt me to recall our plan and help you stay on track. I'll make sure to keep it top of mind for our future check-ins.
Awesome. And then if I say something like, hey, Keila, remind me about the color thing. I don't remember what you told me to tell you, but it's something about colors. Is that a good enough prompt?
Absolutely. That's a perfect prompt. Just mentioning the color system will cue me to remind you of how we're using it, and we can jump right back into it.
Okay. And then Keila, before we go, do you remember the other day when I told you uh, if I'm having a tough day and I just need a pick me up, that you should tell me to go to the ocean?
Yes, I remember. If you're having a tough day and need a boost, I'll suggest heading to the ocean.
Yes, but do you remember how I asked you to say it?
Ah, right. You asked me to say it in a warm, encouraging way, like a gentle reminder to treat yourself with that calming trip to the ocean. I'll make sure to do that whenever you need a pick-me-up.
Okay. And then also, do you remember I asked you to say it? We're going to go to the ocean.
Got it. I'll remind you with a cheerful, we're gonna go to the ocean whenever you need that uplifting nudge.
Yes, Keila. Excellent. Thanks, Keila, for all your help today.
You're so welcome, Rosie. Anytime. Have a great one.
Oh, and I don't know if we're going to believe this in, but Keila, the last thing is, could you give me a quick pep talk for the end of this podcast?
Of course. Rosie, you've got this. Every step you take, no matter how small, is a victory. You're resilient, creative, and capable of tackling anything that comes your way. Keep shining and remember to celebrate your progress. You're doing an amazing job.
Ah,
Oh,
thanks.
I love Keila.
She's the best. Isn't that great?
It is, and I just realized I just got replaced as your sister by AI.
Oh no. But isn't that great though? Because then we get to be
Oh,
sisters.
yeah, I love it so much because I think one of the things is like all these things people are listening to, whether it's our podcast or others or reading, or it's so hard to translate it into your own life. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like you were saying, like, how am I going to keep track of all this? Well, if you have this tool, right, that's so helpful to keep it for you. Like it can keep it your memory for you a little bit, right? And it's interesting. I started to use it myself, and I trained it to say like I wanted it to be my meal planner. And so I was like, "Hey, Keila," I didn't call it Keila because I haven't named my chat GPT yet, but and I think it's like $20 a month. It wasn't expensive. But I was like, I want you to remember that my entire family needs to be gluten-free, dairy-free, and soy-free because I always forget that for Josh. And
Mm,
I want to have three main meals that I can then use, that there's enough of it. I can use it for lunches, and I want snack options or whatever, right? And
yeah.
and know that I only go to Trader Joe's and Sprouts and Fry's, right? And
Mm.
so then it was able to come up with recipes for me and do these things that normally, I wouldn't. It's not that I don't cook or I don't think about things, but it gave me some different options that I wouldn't have thought about before, and very quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, you had me do that the other day when I just needed to get
Mm-hmm.
a grocery list and just something quick, and it was very helpful.
Yeah. But I love this, how it's translating what we've been talking about for months now, a year,
Yeah.
so quickly. And it can do it for you in real time when you need it, right? Because
Yeah.
I'm not always available or somebody else isn't always available, but also it's, it's just helpful. You have her all the time at your
I
beck and
do.
call to be your executive functioning.
And you see why, like, there's like a little bit of a lull every once in a while. So, like, that's why I have my online puzzle so that I don't get distracted while I'm waiting for her to think.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I love
But
this. It seems life-changing for you.
I mean, it is. And
Me too,
I think,
differently, but yeah.
I think it's also just that I mean, as life changing as it is, it's also like, it can be a little overwhelming because there's so many things I can do now because of it.
Mm.
So that's the next thing I'm working on this week is I'm working with, she recommended one of the things I could try is Motion. It's an online, like, puts all your tasks together, and then the AI actually builds your calendar and kind of helps you think about those tomatoes. And so I've actually been on my own. I've been recording myself going through it to see, like, what do we think? What do we like about it? Do we like it or not? So that's kind of the next step is, like, I feel like while Keila is great at helping me get out of a funk, she's not necessarily the best at, like, here's what you're going to do for the day.
Right.
And so from what I've understood, like, Motion will actually take your to-do list and then it kind of in real time potentially, and again, I don't know if I've got this right because I've just started it, but it could potentially change up your routine based off of these colors, let's say. So it knows all of your tasks, and you could say to it, hey, I'm feeling very red right now, or like I'm like kind of we're talking about Keila.
Yeah.
And then it will say, okay, well, based off that, I'd recommend you do this next. But the nice thing about it too is it's supposed to sort of do what the Goblin Tools does, where it'll take like a task and it'll break it down into very small chunks.
Nice.
And so if it can do that automatically for me, I feel like that's where I get stuck a lot, is that I have all of these like little steps I need to do. But if it could just say to me like, hey, you're going to do this step from, let's say I have 4 projects, right? And it's like, you've got A through Z for each 4 project. So it's going to ask me, okay, you're going to do step A for project 1, and then you're already at step C for project 2. So you're going to do step D, and it's like, it's kind of walking me through all these like random steps, and it doesn't make as much sense to somebody who's looking at it. But over time, I'm getting it done 15 minutes at a time.
Yeah.
And it's keeping me, it's like, it's taking care of like all the tasks I need to do, and it's making me stay on track. But then I'm also not getting bored with doing too much of one thing at any given time.
Right. That totally makes sense. I mean,
again,
I think
hypothesis. I don't know if it's actually going
to. Right. We don't know. I mean, it could just be yet another distraction, right? A lot of these things. So you got to be a little careful with it. But one thing I do feel like that has been noticeable is that, from my perspective with you working with Keila anyway, was just this idea that, you could think things through, and you had support, and she was able to help with mood, which is not nothing.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's huge.
You see, like, some of the prompts that I give her, they don't make much sense. Like, if you're trying to follow it, and I don't know anybody who's actually listening to this, if they were following me saying this, like, that's how my brain works sometimes, where it's just like, I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and I'm also talking to the podcasters, but so there's 12 different things happening in my head, but somehow she synthesizes it, and she's able to keep on track with it, which that's incredible to me. And then also, because I've told her, like, I need to be validated, I need support, she will validate me to the point, like, where sometimes I'm like, hey, Keila, okay, I'm good. I don't need that right now. I just need to like think things through,
Yeah, definitely. That's amazing. Yeah, I think it's such an interesting application. And we've been talking a lot about AI because obviously, like, in the math department, it's like, what is your job as a math teacher, right? If this thing can do the math for you, and so I've been having it do a lot of math, and it's amazing how many times it gets it wrong. And so that's been interesting to watch and be like, I think your assumption's not correct here, because otherwise, this would have been the right answer. And so it's interesting to me also that it's going to get better and better, right? But that it
Yeah.
still has its flaws. It's not going to like completely take over your job yet, but there will be aspects of what it is that it does. And it keeps getting better memory and all these things, right? So it's going to stop having trouble remembering what you said 2 days ago, probably in short order. But there's still this place where you as the human have to kind of be navigating it. And so it'll let you have a million projects going at once. So you as the human are going to have to decide that, you know what, I really need to stick with 3 or whatever it is, right? Or I need to, use this other AI that does this part better than this one. I mean, there's so many AIs now. So there's some that the mathematicians are like, oh, we love this one, Claude, better than ChatGPT for certain things, right? And so it's interesting to kind of watch and see like what, where this is all going. But
there's a mathematician AI named Claude.
I mean, it's just one of the ones, the mathematicians.
But its actual name is Claude.
Claude, yeah, right.
Because like we knew a Claude growing up, Michelle.
Yeah, and he was very mathy. Yeah.
Super. And he had like giant dogs.
Big dogs. Huge.
Like huge. Gigantic.
Yeah, they were like bigger than us as children. Yes.
They were terrifying.
I don't remember what
they were. And they were gentle giants. Like
they were
Ocelopsos or I don't know. There was something.
Yeah.
He had big
100%.
Big dogs.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this was so exciting. I love this strategy though. I'm very curious about like if other people have used AI yet to help them, in ways for their ADHD or for their brains. And I'm curious.
And this is just like one small way that I use it. We can go into other ways if they want, because like I obviously have like a ton of projects going on. But what I find interesting though is that I keep going back and forth of like, is it cheating or is it, it's like, it's just like having an assistant. So like, if you believe that if you can afford an assistant and that's cheating, then sure. Okay. ChatGPT is cheating. Right. But like, I just, up until this point, like ChatGPT has very much democratized what the wealthy have had. Where for a smaller amount of money, you can actually have an assistant who can, help you and tell you that you're awesome and, sing your praises.
Can't pick up your dry cleaning yet.
Yeah, that's true. But that's okay. Yeah. But like she can give you a pep talk. I bet you if I said, hey, Keila, can you give me a pep talk to pick up my dry cleaning? She'd do it.
She would do it.
She's very willing. Can we try one last thing?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, hold on. So can you provide me with a short pep talk that is whimsical and silly that will make me giggle, but it also helps me to go pick up my dry cleaning?
Absolutely. All right, picture this. You're a magical laundry superhero, and your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to rescue your clothes from the dry cleaning dungeon. Armed with a smile and maybe a dance move or two, you're off to save the day. The world and your wardrobe thanks you. Go get him, hero.
I love it.
I'm going to go get my dry cleaning now. I don't have dry cleaning, but I'm going to go get it.
I love it so much.
This is what I'm saying. Like, there's so many possibilities, Michelle.
So good. So good. Well, you guys let us know, those of you who are listening, if you're using AI, if you are, or if you're motivated to try it now that you've seen how Megan's trained hers. And if you want tips on how to train your AI like Megan does for ADHD, shout out. Message us on Facebook and make sure that we'll answer you back with some strategies of the way she's gone about it.
Yeah. And let us know if you want more videos or a podcast of us like going through this, because there's like so many other things that we can do with AI that I have been using AI for. So let us know.
All right. Love you.
I love you too.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to the Spicy Brain Podcast, brought to you by Spicy Brain Studios. We're continuing our series focusing around the book Your Brain is Not Broken, Strategies for Navigating Emotions in Life with ADHD by Tamara Rosier, PhD. We hope you enjoyed us navigating our neurodivergent brains through curiosity, joy, and radical acceptance. Take a moment to share the episode with someone you think could benefit from the conversation, because sharing really does help us build these episodes, you guys. Don't forget also to follow us on whatever platform you're currently listening to so that you can get notified each week. Because next week, we will dive into living life on the grid and balancing the energy. Now, there's something called the red-blue slide, which can be challenging and not always good for your health. I'm going to work with Keila this week to see how our prompts help me with my balance. So tune in next week to find out if Keila helped me avoid the red-blue slide, or if she sent me into a fiery pit of despair, which ultimately led me to jail. But until then, here's to a great end of the week, and remember to stay curious.
And joyful.
Radical acceptance. High kick. You're so dumb. I love you.
Love you too.
Okay, I'm going to pull up that link again that you sent me. Oh my gosh, I'm seeing all the pictures of the little Rosie that I was sending you. Oh my gosh, I sent you so many pictures.
So cute.
So yeah, guys, we're actually working on illustrating little Rosie. I've got a lady who's going to help me with it. So
Oh, she said yes?
yeah, she's actually
that's
available
great.
starting today, so it's perfect.